Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Dialogue and Love podcast, episode number 8, Grief and Responding to Losses in Our Lives. Now, we all recognize the word grief in regards to the death or loss of a loved one. Um, and usually it's of sadness. Okay. It says here, of course, I'm going to Google. Grief is a natural response to loss and can be caused by many things, including the death of a loved one, a divorce, or job loss. It can affect your thoughts, feelings, behaviors, and physical health. Okay. Now, the reason why I wanted to bring up grief because you can experience grief, as it says, with the loss of love, as far as a divorce and a job, but nobody really talks about grieving the loss of a relationship of a family member or a friend that's still alive. Okay. I feel like that has to be really, really hard because when a person passes away, you know that they're gone and you're never going to see them in the physical again. Okay. You know, at some point when you cross over, you might have that afterlife experience. Nobody knows until we actually get there what that's like, who we're going to meet, who we're going to see, or any of those things. We just anticipate that we're going to see grandma, we're going to see mama, we're going to see whoever our loved ones are that have passed on. But nobody is really prepared for living with the loss of a relationship with a friend that they've had since they were children after growing apart or falling out. Okay. Or sometimes people really telling what they truly feel about you and it's um, unable to be repaired to be able to move on with the friendship. Nobody really talks about grieving the loss of a relationship with a sibling who you no longer talk to because of whatever family dysfunction may be going on. Nobody really talks about the grief and the loss that you feel from a child going no contact with you because of things they feel they are traumatized from or what have you, or vice versa, a parent going no contact with their child because they've wreaked havoc throughout the family and caused drama or whatever, and they just can't take it anymore. um Now, there are different types of grief, and there's also different mechanisms or ways to cope. Um, Grief, as I said before, is a natural a natural response to losing someone. Okay, you're gonna feel sadness. You may even deny that it's over with. You may, because they are 5 steps of grief, 5 to 7, depending on who you ask. Okay. Um, the 5 stages of grief are defined as denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Okay. So with the 7 steps of grieving, it says shock, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, testing, and acceptance. Now, I'm more so on the side of shock also with the 7 steps. I think it was like reassessed and a couple were added. Um, you definitely can go into shock about losing someone that you really truly love and care about. It's like it's unbelievable. Like from my experiences, it's like disbelief. Like, do they really feel this way? Do they really not want to deal with me because of something so minor or whatever? Um, and I've also been through the step of anger. Like I'm pissed off because we done had a discussion about this situation. Why are you still harping on this? I've apologized. I thought we had moved on. I thought things were good between us. And it's back to the drawing board. You say you don't have anything to do with me. Um, I feel like certain things in my situation, where certain things were used as bargaining chips, where, okay, I'll let you do this, but if you don't do what I want you to do, then I'm not gonna deal with you anymore. I know you want this from me, so I'm not gonna give it to you unless you give me what I want. And it's like it comes to a point where you have to um wipe your hands and be like, you know what, I'm not gonna be manipulated like this. Now, based on the 7 steps, I say that's the bargaining with the other person with me. But bargaining is like, I promise if please, I'll never do such and such again if you just let me have this relationship back. And so it's kind of like the same thing. And some people even say that, oh, why did you have to take them? Why didn't you take me? Some people feel that way when somebody passes away in death. Um, and then you have depression because when you lose someone that you really love and you really care about, you definitely gonna feel some type of way. You're going to it can manifest itself in you not eating, erratic behavior, using drugs to numb the pain. Um, so many things. Just I mean, because I've experienced depression. I've been there. And this is something I'm sharing, but I've never really shared it with anybody else. But I feel like it's pertinent to this conversation. I've been so deep in depression that I didn't want to live anymore. It was just all too much. Okay. It was like I don't want to keep doing this. And I've had this thought on more than one occasion. But I dug my way out of it. Depression can definitely have a huge stronghold on you if you let it take over your life. Okay. I don't want to get into suicide too much because that's a whole other story and discussion, but it's a thought that has crossed my mind. Um, we tend to look at people who attempt suicide to be weak sometimes, but sometimes you do feel that weak and that vulnerable. I ain't speaking for everybody, I'm speaking from my own experiences and myself. Um, it says testing and then acceptance. Like you go back and try to test the waters with that person to see if everything is okay. Some people do that. If a person says they're cutting me off or not talking to me, I give them their space. I respect their boundaries. I don't keep pushing the boundaries of that person. I've seen people do that type of thing out of desperation, showing up at a person's house, constantly calling their phone from different numbers if they're blocked, sending text messages, showing up at their work, borderlining on stalking. And it's like, I don't have that energy in me to stalk somebody. And sometimes people will do certain things to test you to see if you're loyal to them. Well, if they really care about me, they're going to chase me. I'm sorry. I can love you down, up, sideways, backwards, inside, and out, from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. But I refuse to overstep somebody's boundaries. And if someone expects me to do that, I don't know what to tell you because I'm not going to apologize for not chasing somebody. Because personally, I don't want to be bothered. When I tell somebody I don't want to be bothered, I mean that. If I tell you I want you to leave me alone, if I tell you I don't want you in my life, if I tell you to leave, if walk away, stop texting me, if I block you, I mean that. It's simple as that. Especially after I've given you more than one chance to redeem yourself and you still have the same behaviors. I'm not going to keep allowing you to hurt my feelings or put me in a negative headspace. Um, I just want to say, because I kind of tapped into each one of these very quickly, because I wanted to talk about acceptance and whether or not grief actually goes away. Accepting where someone is and accepting that they no longer want to be in your life or want you in their life is a very, very hard pill to swallow. But the sooner you understand it and accept it, the better off you'll be. Because one thing I can say, I feel like grief never goes away. From the standpoint of losing the most important people in my life, besides my sister and my children, that are still here. The first person I lost that I loved the most was my grandfather. He was the father in my life, and I could never imagine him being gone. But the experience that I had, because we were very close. He was in the hospital when my daughter was born in 1993, and it was like the things that had happened. He broke his hip, and he fell and broke his hip, and it's like after that he gave up. He was like 80 some years old. But the whole point of the matter was I never saw him as a down person, as a person who would give up on life because he was always so full of energy. And after he passed, I was 22 when he died. And my heart was hurting so much um, after he passed because this was my father. And I was mad at him, like, why would you give up? And when he was in the hospital, we had this small encounter where, they called and they told us that he was getting ready, we should come and see him and all of that. And they said he wasn't conscious. But when I stepped into that room and I held his hand, I said I wasn't going to do all of this. But I got to tell this story because I need to talk about it because, as I said, this happened um, 30 years ago, and this is what grief is. It still chokes me up a little bit. I held his hand and he squeezed my hand as if to say, you know, it was okay. And so I accepted it and I kissed him and I told him I loved him. I left the room, and then, you know, everything proceeded as it did. And our family was going through, because this is the patriarch of our family. And I feel like it was more so not the fact that he was old and he died, it was the way that he died. It wasn't something that was expected. Now, on the other hand, uh, my uncle, he got sick in 1999. And that was unexpected as well because he was a father figure as well. And he was a lively person and he enjoyed life to the fullest. And to see him be taken down by all of his illness and, his fingers being taken off and all of this kind of stuff, it was heartbreaking. It was somewhat of a relief when he passed because I hated to see him like that, but at the same time, it was definitely grief because, you know, we was a tight knit family like that. Um, so then when my grandmother died, she was 93 years old and she passed away in her sleep. She was still happy and she was still lively and she was not down sick with any illnesses or anything. She went exactly the way she said she wanted to, and this was in 2006, I think it was. Yeah, 2006. And I gave a eulogy at my grandmother's funeral. And like I cried the night that they told us, but I still felt good because she went exactly the way she wanted to and she wasn't in pain. She had lived her life and she talked about this all the time and she was happy and she said, well, I'm ready to go anytime. And when I was younger and she would say that and I would be, Grandma, don't say that. I ain't ready for you to go. And she would just laugh like, girl, listen, I'm old. I done lived my life, blah, blah, blah. And so it hurt. But when I think about her, I think about happiness because she died the way she wanted to. And I felt that peace after she passed away. Well, fast forward to 2014, my mother, it was obvious that she was tired because she had a kidney transplant in 1991, and then the kidney started to fail in 2020. 12, I think, somewhere around there. And she was back on dialysis, and they told her, after all these years and stuff, that she wasn't eligible for another transplant. And it was like you kind of see the life starting to drain out of her. She was tired. She hated going to dialysis. She was always feeling down and sick, and she wasn't spry like she was before. And we couldn't go out and do all the stuff we used to do together. And but the way it happened, she had a heart attack. We had just left her house. A few minutes later, my niece called and was like, "Grandma fell and she's not getting up." And whew, I'm not gonna go into that story because I won't be able to make it through this. But I'm using all of these things as an example to say how I processed my grief with each one of these people passing in death. With my mother, I say about once a month, I have a little crying jag, and I'll talk to her out loud and tell her how much I miss her. But the one thing that me and my family we do on a regular basis, me and my sister talk every day, and at some point all of these people are going to come up in our conversation, and we talk about positive memories, we talk about negative memories, we talk about all these things about them, but we keep their memory alive, and that's what keeps us from being in a depression about them no longer being in the physical. Okay. um Everything that I do, everything that happens in my life, no matter what it is, I give gratitude to my ancestors and thank them for making me who I am, for creating me and allowing me to live in this world despite whatever is going on. I thank them for giving me my sister. I thank them for giving me my family. I thank them for making me the now matriarch of my family. I thank them through it all because just like they supported me when they were here in the physical and life, they still carry me and support me and love me and protect me and guide me in death. I give gratitude every day for that. Now, I also have my moments with people that are living that I no longer have relationships with. It's something that is really hard for me to deal with on a daily basis, but I have no choice. I have no choice because the onus is not on me because my door, my phone, my text messages, and all of that is open whenever this person wants to come in and say, "Hey, let's have a conversation and let's move forward." Now, the primary reason that this person told me that they no longer want to have a relationship with me is because of my lack of religious beliefs. I don't know if I've spoken this before. I think I did on the previous episode where I said I do not believe in any organized religion. I don't follow religion at all. Um, I do believe that there is a higher power. However, I practice gratitude to my ancestors. That's something that is tangible that I was able to touch, see, and experience in the physical and afterlife. Um, the universe provides. I do feel that, and I want to say this as well. I do not knock anybody for whatever their beliefs are, religious or otherwise. Okay. Whatever your choice is your choice. But this is mine. I respect yours and I expect people to respect mine. But it is what it is if they don't. Um, my reasoning behind walking away from religion has nothing to do with not believing in I don't believe in God and all of that kind of stuff. God didn't do this for me and all of that kind of stuff. I just came to certain realizations that made me say organized religion is not for me. Okay. I have friends that are Muslim. I have friends that are Christians. I have friends who don't believe in any type of entities. They don't even believe in their ancestors. But that's their choice. I'm not knocking them. Okay. But one thing that I know, as I stated previously, is my ancestors have always been there for me. And that I don't have to doubt or be discouraged about. I do believe in divine timing. I do believe that we can create and manifest things on our own. I believe some are gifted in certain ways and they just choose not to use them. Um, and I do choose to use my gifts in a positive way. And this is the reason this person says they don't want to have anything else to do with me, because they said that you can't. There's only one or two choices, which is God or the devil. And if you're not on the side of God, you're on the side of the devil. So they can't deal with me anymore. I respect that. However, I don't like the idea, because this person has ran in and out of my life on more than one occasion. I've said no, they stopped talking to me, they've blocked me because of whatever their personal reasons are. And I can respect all of that. But it is gut wrenching to have love for someone and have that person keep running in and out of your life at a whim. And so, especially when there are children involved, okay? Every day that I live, I have to live with the fact that I haven't spoken to these children in almost a year. Every day that I live, I have to deal with the fact that I haven't spoken to the parent of these children for almost a year, all because I don't follow the same religion that they do. That's not Christian like. That's not love when it comes to religion. Like, most religions preach about loving another person and not discriminating against them because of their beliefs, and your fellow brother and all of these types of things. They talk about brotherhood and sisterhood, but that's, to me, that's not brotherhood and sisterhood, to disown somebody and not want to talk to them because they don't have the same beliefs as you. Now, if this person doing something to you that's negative, then that's a different story. And a lot of times we condemn what we don't understand. My practices when it comes to non-religion, I used to condemn it because I didn't know any better. But once I learned certain things about my roots and where these things come from, and I'm not going to get into the religious part of it, but I learned a lot of things about it and the roots of it and how it involves Black people and, our history. And this is what made me transition to that. I just want to say, if you have someone in your life and you really truly love them, one thing you're going to do is you're going to just fellowship with them in love. It's not going to have anything to do with bringing them to your house to transition them over to being a Jehovah's Witness or being a Christian, or getting them away from that cult they in and all of that type of stuff, because you feel like that's what that is. If you love them, you're going to see them and say, "Hey, I'm so happy to see you." You're going to laugh and you're going to talk, and you're going to keep all of that other stuff to the side. All you're going to do is indulge in the love of being around that person that you love and care about. Religion shouldn't matter, but it does, unfortunately. It tears people apart. Politics shouldn't matter, but it does, and it tears people apart. But what I am going to say is that in dealing in these situations, going through divorce, because that's something that I grieved as well. When I got divorced, it hit me, and I'm the one who filed for the divorce. But everything that was going on was just all too much. And I am not ashamed to say that I still love my ex, but everything that was going on was just too much, and love couldn't sustain it anymore. I wanted to be free of the misery that I was dealing with while I was in that situation. So I grieved my divorce. I've grieved the loss of these relationships of people who are still alive and kicking, and actually even ask other family members how I'm doing. I grieve the loss of my family members, but the one thing that I never lose for any of this is love. No matter what's going on, I still have love in my heart for the people who have removed themselves from me. I have love for the people that have passed away. I have love for my ex. I have love for people who can't stand me. I have love for pretty much anybody and everybody. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we have to associate with each other. The love is still there. We just can't associate. It's simple as that. And I respect those boundaries, those people, but I still love them however the case may be. I want everyone to understand because I do what I do because I want people to understand that you're not alone. It's okay to be depressed. It's okay to love somebody who no longer loves you back. It's okay to make people respect your boundaries. That doesn't mean that you don't love them. Okay. I feel like I'm a better person for having love in my life and not having hate in my heart for anyone. Um, I work on manifesting the day that I will have the people that I truly love that are still in the physical around, and we'll all be together and gathered and just fellowshipping and loving on each other and leaving all of the negative energy behind. Because once someone is gone, you can't bring them back. Your regrets and saying shoulda, coulda, woulda, and bargaining with the higher power and saying, if you just let me have one more moment, that's not going to change anything. So we have to revel in the here and the now, love on our people while they're still here, leave all of the bullshit and the troubles to the wayside, and love on the people who love us. You don't want to wait till it's too late and then be clowning, because that's the main ones when their family members or somebody that they did wrong pass away. They clowning and want to climb up in the funeral. I mean, climb up in the casket and go with them. Well, I tell you what, it ain't gonna be none of that, because I'm being cremated, and I already got everything written out how I want it to be. There will be no funeral. There will be, y'all save that sadness for later. You have a party and you celebrate my life and the love that you have for me and talk about the positive things. Leave all that negative stuff behind. This is a celebration because I done moved on to something better. Okay. All right, so that's everything that I have for you in regards to grief. I thank you all so much for tuning in each week, following, liking, sharing, subscribing. Tell a friend, tune in, because I appreciate you so much. We have so much more to talk about to come, because as long as there's love, I'm always going to have something to talk about. Sending y'all peace, positive energy, and healing vibes, and I'll see you soon, macaroons. Bye.